I'm Coach Dave. Welcome back to Coach's Corner.
Come on.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner. Coach Dave McDonough here. I want to thank my sponsor, Farmer Strength, my guys from Get Elevated Apparel. Appreciate you guys for helping us out on the podcast. Check them out on the web. Today, I got part 2 of the Fighting Foster Brothers. All right? I wanted to do this one together, but like I said to your brother, I want to give you guys a little bit of individuality here. And I have William Foster, 18-2, pro boxer out of West Haven, East Haven?
New Haven.
New Haven, Connecticut. Thank you for coming down today. I appreciate that. And want to congratulate you on your last win in November.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. And, you know, a little different from sitting across from you here as opposed to seeing you beating up on our guys in the gym, you know. But,
good guys.
You know, your career, watched it more so as a pro because, you know, you've always been there to help our fighters and, you know, help get them ready and, you know, get to see you evolve as a fighter right now. Coming off, had a tough fight on ESPN.
Yes, it did.
Right? But bounce back, coming back. And look, watching you transition in your last 3 fights, prior to the fight in Atlanta, you had 2 fights prior, tough fights. You really step up in competition. Well, before we get into that, you know, I talked to your brother a little bit about, and I don't want to bounce all over, you know, you're a 3rd-generation fighter. Your dad was a fighter, now your brother, now it's you, right?
Yeah.
And your younger brother's coming up. So you got a whole family of fighters over there. I mean, the Foster family, you know, we got you, you know, Charles training now, and now your younger brother is maybe going to make a move. So you guys are going to be making some noise for a while. But, you know, Charles kind of told me his way of, you know, how fighting, you know, found him. Was that similar to you, or was it?
No.
You weren't sure if fighting was for you, or was it something else?
Since my brother was always like, he was born a fighter. I was made that way. I was very like a soft and timid kid. I was an introvert.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like talking to people. I didn't like just putting myself out there. I was mostly closed off to myself.
Yeah.
Very was like imaginative. Like
so you were creative.
Yeah, very creative.
You're a creative genius.
Yeah.
All right.
I like to make stuff out of nothing into something, stuff like that. Very good at art and all those other things. Growing up, my brother always liked to play fight, like he said. He liked to play fight and stuff. And I was very worried that I wasn't going to make it out of that house because he just was very rough as a child. Wasn't his fault.
And honestly, knowing him now, he's very quiet. Like, you know, seeing him in the gym, except, you know, seeing him in the ring, he don't play.
Nah.
You know, he don't play in the ring, and I've watched him on that. But seeing him outside, very soft-spoken, so he wasn't bullying y'all, was he, over there?
Oh, when he was younger, yeah. Like, because he was a kid. He didn't know how to, like, control himself and stuff. And when we were growing up, you were
the brotherly way. Yeah.
It always evolved and stuff. But, when I was younger, I was very, like, timid and, like I said, like, just soft. Like, in a way, I was very soft. So I started actually fighting at an age of 11 with Luis Rosa. And before that, I was training with my father when I was 4 years old. Like around 8 or 9, I went to my first boxing gym with Gary Smichael. And then, I don't know, I was young, so I didn't really know what happened. Like, why did we stop going there? He was a real cool guy. So then all of a sudden, my father told me that we was going to train with Luis Rosa. And since I was 11, and then, he gave me a lot of fights, very hard trainings.
I mean, you guys, like I was telling your brother before, you know, from the coaching standpoint, whenever we had to fight anybody out of Rosa's gym, you know, it's like I tell my guys, like, you know, some of them who may not know Louis, you know, and what the fighters that come out of there, I'm like, listen, we're in a fight. I said, you know, one thing, You know, it could be his least experienced guy to his most experienced guy. We in a fight.
Yeah.
You better get ready to fight. If we're an amateur, you better get ready to fight for 3 rounds of hell. Whether it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just be ready because it's not going to be a walk in the park tonight.
Yeah. That's just how we were. Like that's how we were instilled. We were branded. Like we have to be a certain way, and we didn't even take it easy when we was just us. We just wanted to see how good we were and stuff. We let it all out there. We were just fighting like we would fight anybody else.
But see, you know, one thing, Will, like I was telling Charles, I grew up in the gyms in New York, right? Mm. We had a lot of good fighters in the gym I was in, and not only the fighters that competed, but we had the guys that were there training that were also good fighters that might not have been competing. Yeah. That dynamic makes you be a better fighter because now you're competitive with the guy next to you that you're training.
Of course.
Because, you know, coach is like, hey, Will, Charles working harder than you today. What the hell's wrong with you? And now you're pissed off. And you got to step up your game. You know what I mean?
Thing,
and you want to have bragging rights in that gym a little bit. You don't want to be walking back in there and saying, hey, I got you today. Yeah, well, wait till tomorrow, motherfucker.
Exactly. That's how fighters are like made and have the fire inside them to keep on going. And it evolves them into something more and something that they didn't even think that they would be.
So did you know it was boxing or was it something else? Because you talk about did you know once you got there that this is it? I don't want to play another sport. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
No, I made a decision at the age of like, I think it was 12 or 13 that I was like, I'm going to be the most dangerous fighter. Like it was my decision. I was like, I made an oath to myself. Like I'm gonna be the most strongest and most terrifying fighter that I ever seen in my life, and I'm gonna make it the way I want to be. So after that, I was getting to work. I was fighting everybody. I was like, yo, Lewis was putting me with anyone. So I was like, perfect. I'm gonna learn as much as I can and just keep on obtaining as much knowledge as possible for the next fighter and next fighter. I've saw so many different styles in my life, and some of them are similar, but they're not exactly the way you do it. So you have to take away things, put some more.
I was talking with somebody about today, and it's funny about boxing, right? So many different fighters out there today. We see a little bit of variation of style, but we don't see the same fighters fight the same.
Exactly.
Right? Like I'll use Mike Tyson. We have never seen anybody else fight like that. I don't think we will. But you know what? We see fighters with speed. We see fighters with power, footwork, but the styles are not. Everybody, I think, going back to your creative side, right? I think good fighters who understand the sport of boxing are creative somewhere. Because I talk to fighters and I'm like, listen, you're an artist, right? You have to think like an artist. Fighter has to think like an artist. That's your canvas. I can guide you and tell you what fundamentally is right, but you have to see your way through it to put it on the canvas, to be you, to create your style, right? Exactly. Because look, you learn fundamentally from Louis, right? How to throw a jab, how to throw a right hand, how to throw a hook, how to throw an uppercut, right? Yeah. But you put your variation on it.
Yeah, it was up to me to put it to use the combinations to throw the punch at the certain time, and every fighter in this world is very different as an individual. So you have to understand that because he's throwing them shots and he'll see something that no one else sees. He's trying to make a mark that no one else has ever attempted to do. So you have to keep an open mind to understanding how the man thinks, how does he work, what does he see through his eyes, what does he see? So I just constantly, my brother, a big difference between me and my brother is he's a very
he's deep.
Yeah, deep into the other person. Yeah, with the other person, he sees every flaw.
He's analyzing
everything. Yeah. Me, I do it internally. I try to think of every little thing that the person sees, try to use different ways or methods of different styles and stuff, just trying to figure out different ways to make me look different.
Yeah, you guys are definitely, you know what, I got the opportunity up close to watch you, not only watch you fight on TV, but, fight in the gym with our fighters, and you guys definitely you're more energetic around the ring, in your face, talking to people, a lot more expressions. Your brother's a little more stoic.
Yeah.
Till he gets going. And then but you guys definitely have, different styles of fighting, also different weights, so it definitely causes different styles.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, was your amateur career as long as your brother's, or?
I had my brother had 60 fights, I believe.
Yeah.
I had 84. I lost. I won 62 of them, lost 22.
Yeah.
And it was I fought everywhere. Like I just fought in national tournaments, silver gloves, golden gloves, pals, United, a whole bunch of just.
But coming out of that gym, that was the mantra.
Yeah,
you
guys had
fought.
to do that. Like,
you guys, if you were going to the next level, the amateur background over there was strong.
What? It was insane. Like we would just kept fighting every day. Like people would invite us to Boston and Mass all the time, and then after a while they would stop inviting us because we kept on winning and beating their fighters. So we had to we were just going anywhere just to see anybody that would want to fight us and stuff. We were just hungry like that. That's how.
So when was it really that, 80 amateur fights, a lot of fights. That's a lot of fights, okay? And you know what? I have my opinions about how many amateur fights are good, how many is bad. I'm a quality over quantity guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're fighting quality fights and you're growing and you're learning as a fighter, I agree with that. Some of these guys fight a lot of amateur fights. They're not growing. They're fighting the same people over and over again. Yeah. They're not challenging themselves. You're going to national tournaments. You're fighting at a high level. You're working. I know where it's going. When did you feel that this could be something? You're an amateur and you're going at it every day. When did you think that it could be something for, I'm going to do this in the future as a pro?
I think my first national tournament, which was the Silver Gloves, forgot what year, but I think it was 2004. But when I was a little kid and I didn't have that much confidence and stuff, and I was like, I'm all the way out here in Kansas. And I was like, this is exciting. Like I can't believe that I'm even here right now. I might be really good at this and stuff. So it made my mind expand, I can actually do something with this. And after a while, I started to figure out more things and stuff, made me hungrier. I wanted to go out more to see different boxing gyms and spar and fight in a whole bunch of different states and stuff. I wanted to go anywhere. Just to get as much experience as I can.
Yeah, boxing is, once you taste it out there and you're traveling around and you get to see. I remember the first time I went to the ringside tournament and I could see all these little kids from around the country and, the fighting, the attitude. I'm like, wow, this is just, people don't realize. Because we see Little League Baseball, you see an 8-year-old kid playing baseball out there, right? Yeah. But you go to these tournaments, you see these young kids, and then they evolve into, fighters and everything else. It's great to see that. But was the idea to always go pro? When did that conversation start happening? Because you've seen your brother go pro first, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Another guy's in the gym, over there. So you've seen,
Mm-hmm. Like you said, I was around a whole bunch of pros and different people that were going pro and stuff in that gym, and once I made that decision that I was going to be the best, I didn't want to stop at just amateur. I wanted to continue my growth and my ambition into pro, and I wanted to prove to myself that I'm one of the strongest people out here, and just one thing, it always was a step further to a step towards something more of what I wanted to get and stuff. Now I'm just so close to actually making it a reality, and it's very exciting. It just time just keeps on the time just keeps going so fast after a while.
Now it's a little fast track.
Yeah, really fast. It's going really fast. When I was a kid, I was like, yo, I can't wait to be this. I can't wait. I was so impatient, and now that it's happening, I'm like, yo, everything's just going so fast. It's hard to actually take it all in to understand where I'm at and stuff. But just taking it one day at a time, trying to
your window
slow it down.
Your window is there. So you're decision to go pro, did you talk to your brother, your dad, your team? I mean, what was...
Well, yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, obviously, I know you're going to talk to your team, but, you know, was it like when you sat down, you said to your brother, it's like, look, what do you think? This is what I'm thinking. And, you know, how'd that conversation go?
So when we had the conversation when I was like really young, like at 15, 14, I was like, yo, I want to be a pro one day. He was like, yeah, me too. And I was like, that's good. And then my dad was like, yo, y'all gonna be the best in the world and stuff. My dad was like the person that would always hype us up, like
Positive,
tell us like, yeah, y'all gonna break everybody. Y'all gonna beat everyone. No one's gonna be able to touch you, stop you. No one's gonna be in your level. You just have to keep going and learn as much as you can. And my dad, my brother, and me just started just always thinking that way. So we had it like a very long time ago that I was gonna go pro.
Set.
Yeah, it was already set in my mind that I was gonna go pro when I was very young. And when I told Lewis, like, yo, I really like around like 2 years before I went pro, like, yo, Lou, I really wanted to go pro. He always knew that I wanted to, but me actually telling him.
Yeah, he had to hear it from you.
He had to hear it from me. So he was like, all right, this is going to be real hard and tough. And like, I know, but I'm not afraid. Like, I want to know how it feels to actually go and do it. And he was all for it and stuff. He was just telling me to wait and be patient and your time will come and stuff. And I'm like, all right. So I just kept doing my thing, just kept training, kept learning as much as I can. And then all of a sudden it just happened. Right after I was in the 2014, after the 2014 Golden Glove National Tournament, he said, all right, you're going to pro. And I was so excited. I was excited as hell. I was sparring with somebody, and then he told me, I was like, oh, and I jumped on the guy and like laughing and stuff.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was fun. And I think like 2 months later, I was having my first pro
Now
fight.
things change.
Yep.
But, you know, also, like, you know, you're fighting and you're working.
Yes.
How is that dynamic? Because, you know, having to train, especially the way you guys train, and you're not half-assing nothing. It's a tough grind sometimes. People don't realize. But how do you balance that dynamic of, you know, working, training? I mean, you got 20 pro fights. I mean, it's, and now your level's going up.
Yeah.
Your level's going up after, you know. How do you balance that for yourself, mentally and physically?
Like, the physical part is, of course, I'm going to be sore and stuff. I'm not going to want to do it.
And you got
Like
a physical job. You guys you work construction.
Yeah, I'm working construction, insulating.
Yeah.
And stuff. So you have to go up down the ladder. You have to move. Like, it's
dusty. So if you're banged up
disgusting.
during camp or from a fight, you still going to work.
Yeah, of course. That's how. But my father, let me tell you something. My father was the craziest workaholic I've ever met in my life. He would have a pro fight coming up. He'll work the day before the fight, go out, drive like whatever, like to Mass or whatever, fight, then drive back that same night back to his house, and then work the next day. So the
you guys
mentality,
got it built in you.
Yeah, the mentality of how things were done, it was already paved for me, or from my dad. And it was already like, if my father can do it, we're his kids, we can do this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just having a normal warrior mentality of thinking to yourself, like, I'm not like normal people. I don't need, I need rest, but I don't need as much rest as a normal person. I can handle more than what the average person is, because this is what I was built to do. And it just, after a while, it becomes the normal. Like,
it becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah, just what it is. That's just life.
Yeah, no, listen, and I think that's what makes boxing unique, because, you know, the struggle to fight, the struggle to prepare for the fight, people don't know the true backdrop of the story.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about this all the time. It's something with fighters, and, you know, if you're running before work or after or whatever it is that your routine is, you know, you're there by yourself unless you got somebody running with you. Maybe you're training with your brother, he's running with you. You guys are getting your conditioning in the same day, but, you know, you got to drag your ass out of bed. You got to do it, you know, before you get to the gym and start working with your coach. now you take work the dynamic in there, and that's and a family life and everything else. That's a tough dynamic right there. But you were pretty fast tracked. You had great success throughout your career in the beginning. Still now, not that you didn't, but you moved pretty quickly through the pro ranks, and I think, you were probably one of those unknown restaurants that people really didn't know about, that when they go there, they're like, I'm coming back. Because for people who haven't seen you fight yet, and, you've been, your last couple of fights, you've been on TV, which is good, people getting to see you and see what you're about, and, your skill set and everything else and your attitude. How hard was it to stay motivated in the early days? And you weren't fighting, too much right away, right?
Nah,
so there was some space in between your fights.
Yeah, there was a time that I didn't fight for a year, and then the next time I didn't fight for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And I constantly just kept going to the gym, even if I didn't have the fight. People from others outside of the gym was like, why are you still how are you still doing it? I was like, I don't know. I just love to fight.
Yeah.
I wanted to figure out every little defect or some incapability, any weakness that I see. I wanted to deal with it now than trying to figure it out as I got older.
Look, a fighter, especially an inactive fighter, it's not good. Mentally and physically, it's not good for a fighter to be out of, not the gym so much, but out of preparing for a fight. Because being in the gym, you're going to be in the gym, but it's not the same when they call you up and say, hey, Will, you're fighting in 8 weeks, 10 weeks. Okay. Now the training changes, right? Now your mental changes, right? Was it hard to stay motivated in those days?
Yeah, but no at the same time, because it was something that I really wanted to do. Like I said, I made a decision that day that I was going to be the best, and I didn't care that it was taking long. I was like, one day, all I need is one shot, and I'm gonna show them I'm the best. So I was just very confident in myself. Once the next my fight happened. 2 years later, I was just smiling in the ring. I was just can't wait. Everybody was looking nervous, and this one guy looked at me and was like, aren't you nervous? I said, not at all. This is fun. This is like Six Flags to me. I can't wait to get out there. And then, I did really well that night. And it was just something that I was just always anticipating. I'm not thinking to myself I'm missing out on life, because this is my life. I want to be a warrior. I want to be a strong person, like a straight destroyer. I wanted to be something to be looked at and be like, wow, I remember him.
You're looking to set your mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you think your motivation, look, you guys are kind of blessed because of who you guys had in the gym. And I mean that in the sense of, you've been to different gyms, and there's a challenge that you guys got to have every day when you have good competition in the gym. And do you think that's kept you motivated? Because you got to go in the gym and you're working with guys that maybe are fighting. You're working with your brother, different fighters that Louis had at the time over there. They were sharp guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't sleep if you're gonna spar that day. They're gonna expose you. So you think that kind of kept you sharp too? And that, knowing that you were working with these guys, being successful and getting them ready, that, hey, if I can get through this with some of them, I know I can be successful in the sport.
Absolutely. I was at the time, my coach's son, Lil Louis, was fighting constantly, and he was always me and him were always sparring together. So I was learning while he was learning from me. I was learning from him of how to deal with a very aggressive and pressure fighter. So me and him were just kept sparring constantly. All the time and stuff. Yeah. We would come out mad bloody and messed up knuckles from hitting so hard, and then the other people from other gyms and stuff. It was always active in that gym, even from outside the gym. And stuff.
Because you guys were Louis' son, God rest his soul, was high level at the time. and you guys all coming up behind him, the pedigree behind him, and finding sparring, as you know, when it's unless you're set up in a camp somewhere where they're bringing it to you and it's easy, people want to find the best sparring and they'll gravitate towards. So now you're challenged.
Yeah.
Now you're being challenged, or you're going to other gyms and everything else. But over the last couple of fights, the fight that changed you, right? I believe was what, the one TV fight that you just kind of came out of nowhere and you just. I'm trying to think who the opponent was, and then you put it on him and.
Dos Santos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Del Santos fight. And, people really didn't know of you. The hardcore fight fans kind of knew where you came from and your pedigree already and everything else. But, I mean, how was that? Because I kind of feel that kind of just lit the fire with you, because since that fight, you've been like, your name comes up in a lot of different fights. All of a sudden, you're out there. In your last 3 fights, you've had tough fights. Yeah. The 2 prior to Atlanta, I don't know about your opponent in Atlanta. I know the 2 fights that you had prior, and hell of a fights, man, hell of a fight. But, what was it that, do you think that it was the Dos Santos fight that really said, okay, Will Foster's on the map, or did you think of it that way?
Yeah, because he was very feared in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
People was scared to fight him, and I'm not scared of anybody. And once they asked me, it was like, "Yo, you want to fight him?" I'm like, "Who is he?" And then it was like some guy that's blah blah blah. I think it was 14 or 15 and 0. And I was like, "Bet he's undefeated like me, so he's gonna be hungry." So I didn't want I'm a person with if you don't have no losses or anything like that, you're hungrier. And I didn't want no defects or anything in your head I lost my last fight, so that's why I didn't want no excuses. Right. So I wanted the best. Yeah. I wanted your best out of it and stuff. And I guess that's how I give you my honor. That's honorable for me in my eyes. So.
I agree. I think honestly, look, as a fighter, as a coach, you got to challenge yourself, because that's the only way you're going to know where you are and where you're going to go. Yeah. Look, if you keep fighting, I don't want to disrespect any fighters. I really don't. But if you fight fighters that are not on your level, you just keep winning and cruising and cruising and cruising and cruising, what's going to happen when you get into a tough fight? What's going to happen, right? So do you feel you had something to prove in that fight to the fight world?
Well...
Or was it just, hey, we got this guy, he's got a 0 on his lost side, and I got a 0 on mine, and we're just going to go and bang it out?
Yeah, I knew I wasn't afraid to fight people with an O, because I fought Sagawa before, and I fought Donald Smith before. So I was like, this is another guy. So I was thinking to myself, I was trying to figure out how to break him, and the way he fights and stuff. And he was a lot of people that he stopped was in the first round. The only person that wasn't in the first round, I think it was in the second. So he didn't have to fight there that much and stuff. So I thought to myself, if I can just
take him
into deep waters, he won't be able to survive. So I was like, okay, as long as I can keep him moving and keep him trying to always thinking and stuff, he'll break after a while. He'll look. He won't want to fight no more. He'll just be like, yo, all right, why is he not going down? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, all I have to do is just make sure that he doesn't get away from me. And that's exactly what I did. And it made me that much closer to where I want to be now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, after that, the last 2, the ESPN fight, great fight. Give me your thoughts on that.
I fought Henley LeBron. He was really good. He was a good fighter. The only thing that I don't really like about that fight was that the ref didn't let me let me fight on the inside. So he
I
just
thought
kept
he
on
was stopping
spreading
you
them.
for
Yeah.
a lot of times. Like it looked like to me, it wasn't anything blatant, and I think he was just stopping the momentum of the fight.
Yeah, so that was frustrating. I knew if I kept on doing, it would have started to crack and he would have started to break.
Well,
and
I
stuff
think
if
that
I
was
would've kept
definitely
on.
affecting him on the inside of the fight.
Yeah, so I was upset about that. But I thought he was a good fighter. I don't take nothing away from him. I just didn't like that little
Yeah.
that little hiccup. And same with the other guy. The guy was just holding me. He was not letting, and then the referee was split us up, and then I had to start all over again. And then I
That's not
realized
your
that
style because you're more of a control moving.
yeah,
You like to be in control of the fight.
yeah. I
moving
think
around.
I was so much into my head, like, oh, I have to break him, I have to get him, I have to get him out. And
Yeah.
then it was messing up the style of what I should have been doing. And after that fight, I was like, yo, I gotta really look at myself and be like, yo, that's not how you're supposed to be doing it. You're better than that. So we went back into the fundamentals and fixed all the crap that I was doing before. And I had realized that if I ever have to use that type of style onto another person, it will be there, but I don't have to use it until I really need it. So I have to use like feints and a boxing style, like how I
setup.
started. Yeah. So but it's always good to know that if I ever needed it in like a really tough fight, I can use it at any time. But using it 24/7 wasn't ideal for me.
Yeah. So you changed up your team a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're 2 fights in now with your brother. The first fight, you changed teams. Was that a big adjustment for you to really have now? Your brother is your brother. You guys sleeping in the same room, arguing, whatever the case. Don't take my clothes. Don't do this, whatever. Being brothers, right? Now he's in the cornering you.
Yeah.
And look, I know he's been influential, because he is very knowledgeable and very experienced and, has a keen eye, but he never coached you from the head coach aspect of coaching you, giving you tips and, fighters talking as fighters and, now he's in your corner. Was that, how'd that kind of play out for you? Kind of walk me through that because I know not so much from the brother situation, but the father-son, it kind of throws in that same dynamic because he's family, but he's your coach.
Yeah. It was it's not that difficult because he was always helping me if I didn't understand something growing up with the boxing aspect. But like you said, it's like, I have to. He doesn't get in my face, but he'd be like, yo, you have to do it like this. You have to.
You guys are 2 different personalities.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's gonna come with a game. Not saying you're not gonna come with a game plan. You got that creative mentality, and he's not a creative type of guy. He's a traditionalist who's going to tell you
statistics, all that stuff.
We're going to do the plan and everything else like that.
Yeah.
But how does that mesh throughout camp?
Well, I always
does Mo play fucking referee between you 2 guys?
Oh no, absolutely. No, if he sees something that I'm doing something wrong, Charles would definitely be like, yo, you're doing it like this. Why don't you do it like that way? He always gives me a different perspective. So I always it would not work if I didn't respect his opinion but I do. I respect him as much like he's a bigger version of me.
All right, take the brotherly aspect of it out and respecting his opinion. Forget that he's your brother for a minute. Is the respect of his opinion because of his experience or experience and knowledge? Because like if you're a fighter, right, and I'm a fighter, right, and I'm looking for a trainer, he's definitely got the pedigree on paper, and if you talk to him, he knows what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? But, is that where the respect comes, or is it respect because he's your brother also?
Oh, no, because he showed me what it could do. Like if he had a problem or like I know that he'll get shit done if he has to. and he used his own fighting skills as a result of that. So the respect was always there, not because he's my brother, is because of the man he is now, like the man he became. And I always respected him as a person, brother, and all those things in between. But him being my coach is different dynamic now. But I still see him as my brother. But as a coach, like he's still that guy. Like, well, you should do it like this, you should do it like that, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it that way. And most of the time it works, but I have to like tweak it with my own creativity to make it like make sense to me.
Yeah,
So
I get it. Look, you know, you're an experienced fighter, so he's not taking a fighter, you know, whether he's your brother or another coach that you decide to work with. They're not taking you from the rip at the beginning where they could say, okay, well, this is what we're going to work on. You've had experience, and experience as a fighter, okay, makes it hard for sometimes fighters to adjust to different theories of what coaches are saying at first until they see if it's successful. Was it a big change because you have your style? You already had, 18 fights prior to your brother being in the corner, right? So successful at 18 fights. Nothing against him. I'm not taking anything away from him. Yeah. And you're doing your thing. What changes happened when your brother came in the corner?
He showed me the basics. He reminded me that the basics are so...
Why, did you feel you were getting away from that personally?
I believe that, like, if I didn't have that, like, I think I was off. I was moving off to the path of what I was trying to do.
And do you think that was because you were having success and it was just...
Yeah.
Like, you know what? When you fight certain guys, you can get away with certain things because your skill level's a little better and you've been successful. So they're challenged.
Yeah. So I think that me winning all those fights and stuff, it made me like too...
A little more confident.
Confidence and stuff, but little like soft, like little things that I'm like, oh, I can let that go. And that wasn't never me, but he brought it back to where the basics of me, the foundation of me was reborn and saying, yo, no, little things like that, you have to keep that in mind and fix it, because if you don't fix it now, it's going to be much more difficult in the future. So I was like, okay. So anytime that we have like a problem, like, or if I feel like, yo, there's something not right, I'll constantly think about like, yo, how do I fix it? How do I fix it? And that's just one step to making the problem disappear. So that's what he actually made me think of and stuff. And I'm really grateful for him doing that. And and it's just going to make it much more easier and more better for me in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a challenging division at 130.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of big fights. You're starting to hit your stride, right, in this division. You know, you talked about a couple of possibilities that are, you know, it's only January, so names are stirring around and people are putting fights together. I mean, if you had your choice, who would you like to see in the 130 division right now? If you were to pick, and then you said, look, we're going to give Will Foster the choice, who, you know, what's the guy?
Oshaki Foster, because we're both Foster and stuff, so that'll be a cool matchup.
Good,
So I was like, if he's a world champion, and I would want to fight him all the time. Like, I was like, yeah, that's the guy I want to go out for. Any other big names in the...
Well, you're ranked now in the WBA, right?
Yeah.
What do you got, the 9th ranking or the 8th? What ranking?
13th, I believe.
13th ranking in the WBA, which is big. Congratulations
on
that.
Thank you.
I mean, that kind of puts you in a position, you know, once that WBA is solidified, now the WBC can start calling on you or looking at you also. Your name is circulating out there. Do you feel that there are guys out there that maybe don't want to fight you?
A lot. Yes, very much. People, I don't know, like the specific names and stuff, but like I'll get like mad offers, and then people would be like, I'll say, okay, let's do it, and then they'd be like, oh no, they changed their mind, they don't want to fight now, and then I have to go back to searching and looking
You
for
got to go
another
back
fight
to
and stuff.
searching.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just after a while, like me having my experience is
And
it's
you're dang
nice.
because and look, it kind of goes back to the same thing of who you've been fighting. You're fighting very competitive fights. You're fighting tough fights. You're not fighting, gimmies. I don't want to use that word, but you're not fighting, and you're not shying away from them.
I don't know.
You're taking them. So, and I also think people, they're not sure what Will Foster is going to show up that night.
Yeah.
They're not sure, and you've shown how you can overcome adversity in fights and stay in the fight and still be like, okay, he's a bit dangerous maybe at this division right now.
Yeah.
But you talked about maybe having offers overseas and stuff like that.
England and Japan. There's another one, I believe, in Pennsylvania or Philly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there's fights all over.
There's fights there's fights. So how are you staying right now? You talked about the way your dad and the dynamic of you, working hard, having that work ethic. You're in between, and we just talked about this. It's a tough time for a fighter to be in between and not knowing when he's going to fight, to keeping the training fresh and real with everything that's going on. How do you balance that out? And how do you...
Well, from experience, because I didn't fight for like 2 years straight, so it's nothing that I'm not new to. So I think to myself, like, if the opportunity is going to happen, I rather surprise the opportunity instead of the opportunity surprising me. So I always want to make sure that I'm not like crazy in shape, but I'm in shape enough so like if
to get ready for camp.
Yeah, I'll always be ready. Yeah, if the calls there, I'm here. So I'm always going to be ready to pick up the call and go with it. And so
your levels are getting higher of fighting. And I had asked your brother this, and I know you guys, your family guys, you're hardworking guys, you got jobs, but now your level's getting higher. The call comes to a major fight. How do you balance that with work? I mean, are you able to step away for an 8 to 10 week camp? If say you get called for that title shot, is it is this something you're thinking about? How am I going to do this? And is it is it a worry?
Not really. No. If it like. We all need to work and stuff to make like a living and everything. But boxing is is my career, is what I do. I know that I can make a lot out of it. And thankfully my company is very understanding. Once I tell them I need like a week off or something like that, they'll understand, and I'll tell them the details. They'll be like, all right, good luck, have fun. And I'm like, all right, thank you so much. But if I tell them it's for a world title, and I know for a fact
they'll have that support,
and they'll have that support and stuff, and I'll take a good time off to get completely prepared for it, mentally, physically, and we'll make it happen.
Now you've trained pretty much in Connecticut your whole life, all your fights, your preparation, and everything else like that. Getting a call to fight a big fight, a title fight, or an eliminator, or whatever the case it is. Do you envision yourself staying in camp in Connecticut, or are you guys going away? Where do you feel comfortable? Do you feel comfortable at home with people around you, or are you a fighter that, hey, I need my space after I train, or a type of thing?
No, after the training and stuff, I like to sleep. I just like to be home. I don't go out and partying or anything like that. I just I like to be by myself. But when it's time to fight, I get it's an energy rush. Like I really want to fight. So whatever they tell me to go, we're going this way, I'm like, all right, bet. I'll just make sure that I have time and I'll go over there.
Yeah.
Like I'm down. Like once they say, yo, this is the plan and stuff, and they'll tell me, I'll be like, okay, let's do it. And then but after the fight, I'm like a lazy. I'm not lazy, but I like to be by myself.
All the energy and everything else, and
the enemy is satisfied. The fire is extinguished for now. It's nice.
I got you. So, if it wasn't fighting, what would it be?
Fighting?
If you weren't fighting, what What else what would you besides working? Like call it. What would, you know what? I mean, your boxing grabbed you, so you're already there. But if it wasn't, what else? You talked about your creative side, your painting. So would it be,
I have no idea. I don't know. Any hobby to keep me busy and stuff. Probably pottery. I don't know what it is, but anything. I'll figure out something and stuff. I'll watch. I'll play video games. I love those.
Yeah.
I'm like a normal person, but I just like to fight.
People don't realize fighters are deep.
Yeah, we're just.
You know what I mean? They see you going in. They think it's two people in there just beating the shit out of everybody.
Nah, that's much.
But
more
fighters are thinkers. Fighters are deep. They're creative.
Yeah.
They have their own little sense of themselves and everything else that
rituals.
Makes,
people like make them certain things.
All right, so rituals. What's your ritual?
I just have much
Do you
fun
tie
as I
your
can.
gloves a certain way?
No, I used to put tape around my feet when I was a kid, like something like that. I don't know. It's
you have your certain hand. You got to have wrap first.
I always do this for some reason before I go. It's just little things like that. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
I love to laugh, especially when I'm having fun.
So you answer in the locker room before the fight. They got to slow you down a little bit.
If they see me like getting too amped up, like they'll be like, "Yo, you got to calm down, like relax, sit down, stretch, stuff like that." But I get so much in the mood, like, "Yo, when are we going? Let's go." And then they're like, "No, it's like 2 more, 3 more fights and stuff." And then I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna start wrapping up soon." And I'm like, "All right." So I have to like constantly calm myself down, like just because it's always there to actually like want to go in there and fight.
The anxiety to get in the ring.
Yeah. So
with your career starting to take a new life here, bigger life. I was talking to your brother. I know you guys are kind of quiet, humble guys, not big social media guys.
Nah.
What do you see that as far as to play an effect for your career? Because, it is part of the game today because especially as you move, your fan base, people knowing more about you, boxing is global right now.
Yeah.
We see the fights going on in Saudi. We see, Riyadh. We see all of these, the lure and, personality. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself moving into that a little more or?
Yeah, I believe so because we're going to have no choice after a while because people are going to want to see me and stuff in the interviews. I like this podcast. It's really nice. Hopefully.
Well, listen, you guys, I've been blessed to see you guys and, you've always been helpful and to our fighters and being, help to get us ready and, vice versa. And, we want to see you successful. It's part of, people forget, like I keep saying, Connecticut has fighters. We have fighters up here. Believe it or not, we have a lot of good fighters in this small little state. It's but how do you feel about that? Because you're such soft. First of all, 2 different things. So people see you fight, you're energetic, you're up, you're talking, your eyes, you're smiling, you fight with your goddamn tongue out all the time, and but talking to you in person, you guys are quiet, very reserved type of guys. How do you think you make that transition with the social media?
Well, I just have to be like how I am with fighting and stuff to make myself more energetic, make people want to see me, say things that people wouldn't expect me to say, little things like that. But it's mostly like it's kind of an act, like pretty much. But it is what it is. Whatever makes me more
popular, more noticed out there.
Yeah.
More in the mainstream of boxing. Unfortunately, it's a whole game in itself. I mean, I sit here today, never thought I'd be doing this because this is not. It was very out of my comfort level, but now I'm starting to take to it a little bit because I think honestly there are a lot of good stories, not only with the pro fighters, but with fighters in general that are associated with boxing. I mean, I think, your story of your family, from your dad to your brother to you to your younger brother now, there's four people right there living a life of that, and it's in your blood. It gets you, it takes you, and you could hide from it a little bit, but it's going to find you again.
Yes.
Somewhere it's going to find you again.
Yeah, it's just what we are.
You know, you're fighters. You got that warrior mentality. Do you see yourself when you're finished boxing being a trainer?
Maybe helping out my older brother just to give him like little tips.
Yeah.
But actually getting my own gym and stuff, I don't see it happening. But if they need me, like my brother needs me, like, yo, you think you can help? Of course I'm gonna do it. Like,
your experience will definitely, you know, you got a lot of kids, got to be coming up to you, talking to you.
Oh, of course. They ask me
asking
advice.
you. So if you were going to kind of wrap it up, if you're going to give somebody advice, you know, life advice, boxing advice, what would that be from, you know, from your experience and you? What would that advice be?
Learn as much as you can. Listen to people that you can trust, but also listen to yourself.
Awesome. So I know we're going to work on your social media here. You know, people are going to want to see where you're going to be fighting, and we want to definitely, I told Charles, we want to come down and do a little piece on you guys. When you're getting ready, you get the call for a fight. You know, come down, do some video, do some interviews, get some footage of you working. Not too much. You know, I know we want to keep it low. But for now, tell us where we can find you. Are you on social media?
Yes. On SSHHASSASSIN. Silent Assassin. William Foster on Facebook.
All right.
I only have
Instagram
and Facebook. Yeah,
all right.
I don't really go anywhere else.
So we'll be looking for an announcement for you guys. And, you know, we really appreciate you guys taking your time, you know, yourself, your brother.
Thank you for having us.
We wish your team a lot of success. I'm excited to watch you fight once you get your next announcement because, you know, I think you're on the road to doing something really, really great here. And, you know, you're just one of those guys that people don't know about yet, but be on the lookout for William Foster, Silent Assassin. He is going to make a reckoning in the 130 division, so don't sleep on this gentleman. And we will see you in the next corner of Coach's Corner. Fight hard, fight smart, and we'll see you in the next round.